guys, let's draw a cluster of crystals. It's a tongue twister. Now I'm using a colored pencil to do my drawing and my coloring, okay? So let's get started. I'm just gonna draw kind of like a big shape, a big random pointy shape in the middle of my page, okay? It almost looks like a diamond, it almost looks like a hexagon, but it's kind of just like a random geometric shape. And that's kind of how we're going to fill up our entire page, okay? Now, you don't have to follow my lead exactly. You're just going to do a bunch of straight lines in all different directions. You can have them connect if you want. You can have them not connecting, like me. You can have them going across, down. Really, why I like to do this project is because it's kind of like you can't go wrong, okay? As long as you just kind of draw shapes going in all different directions, it's gonna look cool. Because if you've ever seen crystals before, there's no specific shape. Now, if you've done my other drawing, the geometric bears drawing with me, that one's sort of similar, where you're just drawing a bunch of shapes. I mean, there's, you know, rectangles in here, a lot of triangles. It's mostly triangles, but it's just a lot of random geometric shapes. A lot of lines, okay? Now, you can fill up your page however much you want. I like to fill up most of my page. That just kind of helps make it a little bit more interesting than if you just have like a little thing in the bottom. You can connect like one edge of your drawing to the other. Again, I'm just doing straight lines kind of randomly. It might look like I have a plan. I really don't. I'm kind of just going in for it. This is good practice to just kind of have confidence in yourself as an artist and to just kind of trust that you can make it into a really cool looking picture by the end, okay? Because while you're doing this, you might feel a little bit uneasy, like, oh, this isn't gonna look good. This isn't gonna look like a bunch of crystals. But just try to trust yourself. Try to give yourself time to kind of do the drawing and see how it looks at the end, okay? Worst case scenario, if it doesn't look good, then it doesn't look good. It was still practiced for you, and the next time you try to do something similar, it's gonna look even better, okay? Now, once you kind of have like a rough, random, geometric group of shapes and triangles in your page, if it looks something similar to this, we are going to do a couple of specific crystal shapes, okay? So I'm going to show you how to do that. This will help it look like a cluster of crystals, which usually has a bunch of random little crystals at the bottom and then some bigger crystals sticking out of the top. So like this looks like a good section for me to do a crystal because I kind of have an opening. So I'm going to go at an angle, draw a straight line up. And then maybe from this corner, I'm going to do another straight line up. Now again, yours probably doesn't look anything like mine. So any place where you feel like you have room to draw a crystal sticking out, that's where you can do this part, okay? So you have your two lines. Now you're going to go up into a point. So you're going to draw an angled line there and then another angled line here. So it almost looks like kind of like it's pointing in that direction. Now from this corner and from this corner, you're going to draw angled lines down. So down this direction, and then back up like that. So you kind of have like a diamond shape in the middle. And then from this point, you're going to draw a straight line down. Now, if it doesn't look exactly like this, if it's a little bit more angled or tilted, it's totally fine. It's still gonna look like a crystal. Maybe we do another one coming out of this direction. Another way to do this same thing is if you draw a diamond shape first. And then straight lines down towards the bottom. And then one in the middle. Okay. So I'm gonna stop just for a second to sharpen my pencil. You guys might have to sharpen your pencil also, but I'm gonna give you a second to catch up also. Now, before we color it, I'm just gonna, to make this a little bit more interesting, I'm actually gonna put little faces on my crystal. Now, if you don't wanna do this part and you want it to look more just like regular crystals, you can skip this part. But again, just using my colored pencil, I'm gonna do, maybe in this guy, I'm gonna do two ovals. Oh, I just broke my pencil. 2 ovals with a little circle on the inside. And then a little smile. And I'm kind of pressing down hard so that I get a really dark purple, so that when I color it, you can still see the face. Maybe this crystal has a face too. So I'm going to do 2 ovals with little dots inside. And a little circle, a little smile. Maybe we have one more face. How about here in this? And you can put it anywhere you want, okay? Maybe you have a big section somewhere else on your cluster and you want to put a little face there. That's totally fine. Okay. Okay. Now, we're going to color this, and this is what's going to take the most time, because what we're going to do now, again, I'm just going to use my one colored pencil. I chose purple, and I'm going to do different shades of purple, which is called value. So value is basically how light or how dark a color is. So using different shades or different values of purple, I'm going to make my crystal look three-dimensional. Now, in real life, or when you're getting even better at drawing, you will learn that shadows are on different sides of your picture depending on where the light is. So, for example, say the sun is up in this corner, okay, shining down on our crystals from the top. Our shadows would be down towards the bottom, okay? But we're not going to get into that much detail today. And what I like about crystals is that since they have a lot of faces or a lot of angles on them, it would be really hard to do a crystal by using your light source, okay? So what we can do is that we can just color different sections, different shades or values of purple, and it's going to help it pop out and look sort of realistic, okay? Now, I know that was a lot to take in. Don't worry about it. Basically, let's just color each section a different shade of purple, okay? So to do that, you can start anywhere, okay? Obviously, since our pictures probably look different at this point anyways, I'm gonna start here. Now, to color a section darker, you just have to press down harder with your colored pencil, okay? So this was sort of just a regular or like an average pressure that I'm putting on my colored pencil. So it colors it in kind of just like the normal shade of purple. Say I want this one down here to be darker. I have to press down harder. Okay. And what's important is that make sure that your lines are nice and crisp. So for example, this little line that was in between this lighter section and this darker section, I went over it again, actually a couple times, to make sure it's nice and crisp, to help make it look like it's a really sharp edge on my crystal. Okay, maybe this section's lighter. So you just have to press down lightly, and that will be a light section. Okay. Maybe this is the lightest of them all, and it's not quite white, obviously, because I'm coloring over it with purple, but it's very, very light purple. And to do that, you just like hardly touch your pencil on the paper. Okay. Now, when you get to a section that has a face on it, I would recommend to just do it a little bit lighter so that you can see the face, okay? Obviously, if we colored it this darkest shade or value of purple, you wouldn't be able to see your little smile, right? It would just look like you would just see two eyeballs. Okay, so maybe this part of the crystal is a little bit lighter. Okay, and then maybe this side's darker. So I'm kind of just going over my shape. Before I start coloring, I'm kind of just outlining my shape again and then coloring in darker. And try to get like an even shade. So like sometimes it's hard to put the same pressure the entire time, but try your best so that it's all one shade or one value, okay? Maybe the top part is the lightest of this section. Okay. Now you can definitely do this without sharpening your pencil. It just might be a little bit harder. And you can also do this, you know, you can color it with markers if you want, just with different colors. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. If you want to color it with like rainbow colored markers, that's totally fine. I just want to show you guys how you can use one colored pencil to make it look like all different colors. Now what I do is that I kind of like look at the sections around the section I'm coloring to see what colors or what shade or value I've colored it, because I want to make sure that there's no two sections that look exactly the same right next to each other, if that makes sense. So basically I want each section to stand out against the one next to it. So that's why I usually put a dark section next to a light section, and I don't put two light sections next to each other. Like even these two sections are pretty light, but this one's a little bit darker, so it looks different. This is a nice big section. So as you can see, all these different values of purple are helping to make it look a little bit three-dimensional. Even though obviously mine is a cartoon, since I have little faces on it, it still helps to make the crystal look like it has dimension. It makes it look like it has, you know, depth to it. And that was kind of the point of making a crystal with all these different values. Okay. These two sections that I've done here are pretty close in value, so I'm going to just make sure that I have a nice dark line separating them, and I'm actually going to do that there too. You can actually go over as many of your lines as you want. That might help to really make it pop out. There we go. Now if you're using a different color, blue, pink, orange, whatever, It's the same idea, okay? I know I'm using purple, so everything's going to be purple, but whatever color you're using, you're going to use the same technique. Just color lighter if you want a lighter color, and press down harder if you want a darker color, okay? So now that you kind of get the general idea, I'm going to speed up the rest of coloring this so that you don't have to watch me doing it in real time. But you guys take your time, okay? And pause this video now if you need to. Okay, so I'll see you in a minute. Okay guys, here's my finished picture. As you can see, I made sure that each section is a different shade or value of purple. A few things that I did, I went over the entire outside of my picture, again with a very sharp purple pencil, just to make sure it really pops out against the white paper. I also went over my eyes and my mouth again. And I went back over some sections that I wanted to be darker and put in some more lines in between the sections, okay? Now, one final touch that I'm going to do to help make it look kind of like sparkly, I actually have this glitter glue that I'm just going to actually put over the entire thing just to kind of give it a little bit of a sparkle. And if you don't have this glitter glue, don't worry about it. You can just kind of skip this part and just watch how it looks on mine. But you can just, if you do have glitter glue or some type of glitter, you can just try to put like a very thin layer across your entire picture, okay? And I'm gonna do that by just putting glue over everything. Now, even if I didn't have a purple glitter glue, it's kind of just a coincidence that I'm using the same color that I chose to color my picture. But the actual glue part will dry clear. So even if you had like a blue glitter glue or, you know, a different color than what you used on your picture, it'll totally work. Now, just don't do glitter glue if you used marker because it'll smudge it, okay? Because it's wet, but if you use colored pencil, you're totally good to do it. Okay, so I'm just using my finger to just try to make sure that I have my glitter everywhere. Smudging it in. Okay. So hopefully you can see that it's very subtle, which means it's not very obvious. It's not like covered in glitter, but if you kind of like move it a little bit, you see how it's now kind of shiny and glittery. So that's kind of the subtle effect that I wanted. Okay, so here's our completely finished glittery value crystal cluster, which is a total tongue twister. Hopefully yours came out cool. And thanks for joining me, you guys. Okay, I'll see you back here soon. Bye. If you guys liked making art with me today, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my new videos. Hope to see you back here again soon.